Okay, people. So, Time Cut. This is the new Netflix joint, which is directed by Hannah MacPherson. She co-wrote it with Michael Kennedy. The film is produced by Matthew Kaplan and Christopher Landon. It's executive produced by Matt Simers, Mark Lane, Matthew Jansen, Chris Voss, Aubrey Bendix. It is co-produced by Madison Bailey, Rhonda Baker, Angie Haney, Jess Hood, right, with line production from Dan Cleland. Anna Drubich took care of the music. Tony Mersey was on cinematography. Ken Blackwell and Joe Lander edit the piece, with Jean-Andre Carrier on production design. Art direction, you have Bruce Cook. Costume design is a Rene Fontana. Hair and makeup, Sophie Battersby, Katie Goot, Cheryl Mandel, Brenda Magalas, Maurice Massey, Aaron Merck, Sue Michael, Doug Morrow, Leanne Nizer, Kalia Perry, Abigail Turner, and Gentile Umbaye. Our cast. Well, we have got Summer is played by Antonia Gentry. All right. Then there is okay, I think her mum's Kendra, played by Rachael Crawford. Actually, I can probably have a better look here. Yes, her mother is Kendra. Her dad is Gil, played by Michael Shanks. She's got a sister called Lucy, played by Madison Bailey. We then have got Quinn, played by Griffin Gluck. Right, we've got Emmy Golden, played by Megan Best. Ethan, played by Samuel Brune. Val Vaughn, played by Sydney Sebastian. Brian Palmer, played by Katim O'Connor. Who else do we have? Sheriff Myers, played by David Lawrence Brown. Deputy Craven. Is that Craven? Yeah. Played by Adam Hurtig. We have our Slasher, played by BJ Verot. Mr. Fleming, played by Jordan Petal. Mr. Higgins, played by Graham Ashmore. Mrs. T, played by Maria Stevenson Kerr. Dolores, played by Mariama Bernstein. Security guard, played by Robert Borges. Store clerk, played by Elena Howard Scott. Jessica, played by Summer H. Howe. Sarah, played by Naila Kumus. Coach Jackie, played by Gwendolyn Collins. Yeah. I think that's probably our main group of peoples. The gist of the story. Say, Lucy, a modern high school senior and amateur inventor, accidentally finds a time machine and travels back to 2003. Right, the year her sister was murdered by an unknown serial killer. Now, torn between solving the mystery that has undone her parents and her hometown, saving the sister that she never knew, and irreparably altering the future and her own existence. Lucy must decide how to stop the slasher, save her family, and blend into 2003. So that's the story. Now, there is some, like, it's intriguing when you first hear it. But the film, like, it's one of those films, right, where it puts in these things that are meant to be like little fun nods too, right? When someone's in the past and they make a comment, and like it's just like, oh, should I invest in BlackBerry? Be like, no, you shouldn't, right? And if things like that are meant to make you go, yes, but they're just like, they always feel so tired because it's the same tags everyone uses. It's the same tags, right? Like there's even a talk about changing the future and Marty McFly, right? Back to the Future. And that, oh, he just disappeared from a photo. And it's just like, look, the photo was a physical and visual reference that you could use. But we hadn't gone back to his timeline, so we don't know what else had changed. You know what I mean? It's just like, and even he was going glitchy. So it's a weird reference to use if you're trying to make a specific point, you know? Now, we have all of these things that are happening, right? And again, it's those tired reference points, right? So family and grief. It's always a family and grief. It's never people just happy, right? And you stumble upon something. It's always, it has to be this immensible grief that has racked everyone, you know? But we've got that. But the grief is a weird thing, you know? You're meant to have people that are falling apart, but they always look fine. Right? They never really look completely drained and haggard and just, you know, like the appearance, it's not quite the same, right? Their clothes are a bit disheveled. You know what I mean? There's always something. And you can pass at being, you know, normal, as it were. But there's always tells that people that know you would be like, yo, come on, man. What's going on? You know? So there's always that thing that we have. But yeah, the family, like the bedroom is perfect still, you know, kept as a shrine. It's just one of those. But it's this discovery of this clunky looking time machine. And it's not quick. Like the whole process isn't quick. So the fact that we're saying someone's just going to stand there for minutes while this machine does all of this stuff and is bizarre. It's a bizarre thing, right? Now, they've referenced Back to the Future. So that film's out, which means there's a load of other films that show similar things. So with someone going back in time and then acting like, you know, a moron and being like, oh, so why don't you check this out? Or why don't you, when you know that doesn't exist, right? You know what the reaction, there's these things that are very odd. Like clothes are different. But we can't necessarily, her clothes were so drastically strange to what everyone was wearing at the time. So there's references in the clothes which are kind of like, that's the thing that you would jump to. Really? You know, like this film really did remind me of Totally Killer. right? That dropped last year on Prime Video. Very similar, right? Someone going back in time to save people that had been killed by a slasher. Very similar. And I think, like that film, there are the same story plot holes. You know, the things that don't really make sense. You know, because we've got the motive of the killer, but then the thing we find out about this one person would be, okay, so you can only assume when they're older that, you know, the truth would be out there, which would then mean, why is the killer doing, you know, like, there's just things that you're just like, I don't know how much sense this makes, right? We've got antimatter in this very neat package, right? In this neat package. And then, oh, we need more. Let's just go and get more from this very neat. You're just like, what are we doing here? You know, there's a lot of baffling things about this. You know, just a lot of baffling, like the way people talk to each other just feels very off and very weird. You know, like people, you've got the mean kids that do stuff, but it's all still very PC. Right? It's all still very PC. And you're just like, how mean are these people? You know? Like, even people that are meant to be great friends since beginning of time. We don't really buy those relationships, you know? And I think buying the relationships is a big thing about something like this, because it adds to the drama. It adds to the, if you think someone's in danger, when you mean like, oh fuck, what's that person gonna do? No. You know? You need to buy it. It needs to be sold to you. And it just isn't in here. Even the difference between the time. Like, I think you could have done a kind of color grade shift. Something like that. Now, maybe they did. It's not very noticeable. If they did, let me tell you. You know, there's things to make it feel like it's the 80s. You know? Like, can I just say as well, the dial-up sound... I think people know what the fuck that is. You might not have heard it or experienced it, but I don't think it's going to shock anyone. I don't think it's going to shock everyone, you know? So, yeah. And when we finally get to our twist and all of that, I think you definitely suspect it during the film, but then you just think, they're not going to do this thing, because that would just be stupid. Yeah. That's the thing they do. So, and the ending is so bizarre. Ending makes no sense. Ending makes no fucking sense. Like, because it's, how would this work? And then even in the ending making no sense, they add something that happens in the future. And you're just like, how is that going to happen here? Right? How is that? Did they even have those things that, like, yeah. It's a weird one. But if you did really, really enjoy Totally Killer, you'll dig Time Cut, for sure. For sure. It's a Netflix joint. So if you want to enjoy it, you can check it out there, people. Time Cut.